I know that good plant, care does require some selective pruning, but I really feel bad about cutting back something that's, just struggling to live, she's really going through it. And then, to just cut her back, like cut half of her entire existence back, and, just seems a bit ruthless.
Well, welcome back to another episode of Tell Me Where I'm Going Wrong, a podcast with two exes who are still great friends talk about life, love, selective pruning, and the unfair cutting back of plants. I'm Sean and that's Josh. How are you, Josh?
Hi, Sean. I'm fine. I was just thinking, cutting her back in her prime, but maybe it's not her prime. Maybe her prime is still ahead.
Her best days are behind her.
No, the best days are still to come, so...
Well, thanks for joining us. And you can like, subscribe, comment, do everything you need to do to help us stay in your feeds, in your algorithm. Hey, that could be a good name for your autobiography, Selective Pruning.
Selective Pruning. Oh, not cut off in her prime.
That's this, when you have the subtitle. So Selective Pruning, cut off in her prime. That could be your true crime Netflix documentary.
Okay. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. Sure. I'll go with that.
Selective pruning.
Selective pruning. Well, yeah. Okay. Now I'm not going to say it on the podcast.
Is there such a thing as elective pruning?
No.
So what other types of pruning are there?
Well, elective pruning is the same as selective pruning, isn't it? Like it would mean the same thing. Wouldn't it?
I don't know. I suppose, yeah, like controlled burning.
Yeah.
Controlled pruning.
Controlled pruning. Anyway,
what other types of pruning are there? And you're in the biz, you're in the plant biz. Like, how do you refer to different types of pruning? What else can there be other than selective pruning?
Well,
like indiscriminate pruning.
Yeah, that's a thing. Fatal pruning, when you cut something back too much, it kills the plant, or you cut the wrong part of the plant off. There's coppicing, which is I love how this podcast has now become like a horticulture podcast.
You can lead a horticulture.
You can't make her think, Sue. But there's coppicing, where you cut something back really hard in the spring to force a lot of new growth. What else is there? There's the Chelsea chop, Sue. The Chelsea chop.
The Chelsea chop. What's that?
That's when the Chelsea Flower Show happens in May. Is it May? That's also a good time to give a lot of sort of perennial flowering plants or herbaceous perennials a severe cutback to force a new flush of growth and new flush of flowers, and so it's been nicknamed the Chelsea chop.
Okay, but all these different types of pruning, apart from the indiscriminate one or the one where they're all in a way selective pruning, aren't they? Because you're selecting what to prune.
Yes.
So they're all selective pruning, but they're just different types of selective pruning.
Mm-hmm. They are indeed.
Well,
selective pruning for all.
How fascinating. I hope somebody got something out of that.
Well, I'm, my, speaking of in someone being in their prime, Sue, my birthday celebrations have started a week early, as you know, because we were supposed to record the podcast yesterday and I was far too ill to do so, because my sister...
Sorry, can we just say ill, also known as hungover?
Well, yes. And it's because my sister's going to be away this coming weekend for my actual birthday. So she took me out, and her partner took me out on Friday night for a delicious meal at Tofu Vegan on Charlotte Street, which I know we've talked about on the pod before. And the food is just so good there. It's delicious. But we also had a bottle of rosé, and we tried, I can't remember the name of it. Starts with a J, but it's a Chinese liquor. I think it's a plum-based liquor, but I mean, it tasted just like tequila with a hint of plum. So we had some of that, and anyway, so yeah, I've started my celebrations early. But another thing going back to plants, is I had a lovely gift from someone yesterday, which is a plant I've been trying to get hold of for a long, long time. So I think I'm going to turn 50 every year. I think I'm going to celebrate more often. Every month. I'm going to turn
So
50 every month.
what's this plant that you've been coveting?
It's this is so like niche. I don't think it's of interest. It's just a palm from Central America.
Oh, okay. Well, some other landmark numbers this month. Last episode, we were talking about Madonna and Kylie collaborating on the remix of the song called "Love Sensation,"
Mm-hmm.
and I was saying it's not much chop for me. You were saying it's like right up your alley.
Mm-hmm.
It became a top 10 hit here in the UK this weekend. And did you know how many top 10 hits Madonna has now had in the UK in her whole career?
30.
65.
What? 65?
65. How many top 10 hits do you think Kylie's now had, if you include Love Sensation?
40? 50?
37.
Okay.
I mean, 37
As Madonna had 65 top 10 hits. But does that include if something was re-released, like when The Holiday was re-released, or
it might.
does that count twice?
I suppose it might be. You think if you've been going for like, how long has she been going? 42 years or something in the UK, 42 years. And you think if back in the day when she was super popular, like maybe there would be 4 or 5 singles from an album that would go top 10. And she's had what, 16 or 17 albums or something? Like it adds up. But she went a very long time without having any top 10 singles.
Yeah.
I mean, there was that one last year or the year before with The Weeknd. It was a remix of a Weeknd song.
With Madonna?
Yeah, she just did a little bit of spoken bit on it or something. To me, it's not very nice to listen to, but it got to number 10. So that kind of counts as like one of her top 10 hits because she's featured on it.
Okay.
But yeah, this is Madonna's high, because this got to number 8, this Love Sensation with Kylie. And it's Madonna's highest charting song in 17 years. So can you guess what in 2009 got higher than this?
2009. No, I'm useless at this kind of thing. Like I have no concept of what era that was for Madonna.
It was a song called Celebration.
Oh, right, yeah.
Which was a bonus track on the Greatest Hits version 2. Is that what no. What was the album called? The
GHB2?
Yeah, but it wasn't that, was it? Or was it?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Anyway, so it was a bonus song on a compilation, and the song was called Celebration. Okay. And since then, this song is now like the biggest hit since then. So this is at number 8. Celebration was at number 4 back in 2019, 17 years ago.
Wow.
Okay. Well, now this gets.
Well, I was going to say I should have brought. I can go and get it if you think it's worth showing on the podcast. But I contributed to that chart position because I actually bought the CD single, the Madonna Kylie CD single, to give to someone as a gift. But I'm very annoyed because it turned up. It wasn't very well packaged. It turned up with a big crease on the cardboard sleeve. And so I've been chatting with the AI fucking chatbot at Madonna HQ. And they're like, we can give you a 10% partial refund. And I'm like, no, I don't want a 10% partial refund. I would like either a full refund, I'll send it back, or I would like you to send me one without a crease. And so far, the AI chatbots failed to respond. It's been about 36 hours now since they responded. So,
well, do you know, I've been reading a lot of complaints about the Madonna shop online. People saying the orders are just going unfulfilled and they're getting their money back. Like they're saying they haven't got enough stock. They've taken more orders. How do you take more orders in this day and age of hyper-capitalism? How do you take more orders than you're capable of fulfilling, especially for a product like a CD single or vinyl?
I think I would say that's probably normal practice in today's age. But the other thing, sorry, and then I just remembered the other thing is I then replied and said, no, I don't want I don't want a partial refund. I would like a full refund. And then there was an automated response saying you can log into our returns portal here. So I clicked on that, and it was like your order has not been fulfilled, so you can't return it. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
like I'm caught
Yeah.
up in some fucking Madonna shop hell now.
Well, it's all say third, fourth, fifth party businesses you're dealing with. It's like drop shipping. It's like there's no Madonna HQ. There's no shop where it's all held. They're just like sourcing the stock from different places around the world, and these digital interfaces are doing the business. It's absolute hellscape.
I'll go and
in.
I'll go and get my CD single. You can tell me if I'm overreacting to the crease, but you can keep our listeners and viewers entertained for a second.
Okay. Well, while Josh can't hear me, yes, I am going to say that he is overreacting. And I'm going to say everything nasty while he's gone. Oh, he's knocking the camera around a bit. I don't know what's going on. And that plant is looking very ill. Hello, welcome back.
Are you talking about my plant? Leave Brittany alone.
I was saying everything like controversial while you were gone. But when you went, that you like must have knocked the desk or something.
Oh, I probably did. Yeah.
I thought the computer was going to fly off the.
Oh God, don't say that. Look, okay, all right. I'm gonna give her a trim, because she's feeling very self-conscious now. Anyway, I don't know if it's very hard to see in the light, but can you see? There's like a really big crease, like across this corner. Yeah, if you can see it. You know,
was it not packed in cardboard or something?
No, it was just in a jiffy bag. And I'm like, you should wrap it. It should be wrapped in like a hard, cardboard case, sleeve, or whatever.
And how much was that?
Oh, I don't know. It was like fucking. I actually don't know, like £9 or something.
Also, like, I'm such a moaner when it comes to Madonna, but don't you think that this has got a real rushed feel to it? Like, I talked last week about how it sounded like Kylie was just shoehorned into the remix. Like, like it was just, even the photo, hold that photo up again for the visual. Yeah. Even the photo is just the photo. It's not a photo session or something. It is just when they were on the Graham Norton show or something?
It's either that or, yeah, it must be that. Because otherwise I was going to say it would be when they were at World Pride, but that was literally the day before it was released. So it must have been from the Graham Norton.
So it's thing. Like they've just taken a fucking random candid photo of the two of them. It's not even, and everything about it looks so rushed and cheap.
Yeah.
But without those like the vinyl and the CD single or whatever they've released.
I don't think they released a vinyl version of it.
They haven't? Without those singles, like one of the ones you bought, it wouldn't have made the top 10. And that's why they rushed it.
And they also released 3 different formats of the CD single. Yeah. I don't know what the supposed difference was. There was the UK version, the US version, and the Australia version. Yeah. But I'm sure sales of all 3 counted towards the chart position.
Yeah. And so there's the Madonna fanatics who'll buy it, the Kylie fanatics who'll buy it. There are 3 different versions. And they rushed it out the plan was, I think, that wasn't even going to come out. It was just going to be digital. And then they realized that they could get a top 10 single. They did the calculations.
Yeah.
If they released a physical format of it. And so they rushed it out. And I think, without Kylie on that song, I don't think it would have gone top 10. I think it's the combination between the Kylie fans and the Madonna fans buying that single.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like I was saying last week, I think it's a really good song. But yeah, I don't necessarily know that it would have been good enough to go top 10. But having Kylie on it is, what's that expression, like greater than the sum of its parts? Like, it's Kylie being on it is great because it gets Kylie fans interested. But because you've got 2 pop icons, pop legends, it instantly kind of becomes greater than just Kylie and Madonna on their own.
Also that Kylie sells more singles in the UK than Madonna does. She didn't used to. Right. Like in the 80s and the 90s and probably even into the 2000s. At a certain point, Madonna sold more singles. I mean, Kylie's had her times of supremacy, like around the time of Can't Get You Out of My Head. But the last few decades, Kylie has had top 10 singles. She's had top 10 singles.
She talk about being in her prime, Sue. I mean, Kylie is riding really fucking high at the
Yeah.
moment, you know?
And like Kylie has had top 10 singles every decade. Madonna hasn't. Madonna has gone like, I think the whole of the 2010s without having a charting single,
It's so
a
interesting,
top
isn't
10
it? Like the
single.
relationship between Madonna and Kylie. Like I'd really love them. I mean, I didn't watch that Graham Norton interview, so I don't know if they talked about it at all. But I'd really love to sort of know about how they met, when they first met, because I was just I was in the gym this morning, so I've become one of those people, annoying people, and I was listening to Danny Minogue's "Don't Want to Lose This Groove."
Yeah.
And that was such a thing, wasn't it, in the 90s? Was that 90s? No, noughties. In the noughties, it was
Yeah.
such a big thing to like do mashups. And
Yeah.
so with Danny particularly, that "Don't Want to Lose This Feeling" was mashed up with "Into the Groove." And then what was other song that was mashed up with "Dead or Alive"? Um,
Yeah. I can't remember.
anyway, it was just such a thing. And I wonder at that point, I mean, Madonna obviously would have heard about I think she had to maybe give her permission for them to mash up the Danny song with "Into the Groove." So I wonder if she would have at that point been aware of who Kylie was, and then that Danny was her sister. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's weird.
Yeah,
And then
it's hard. It's hard to imagine Danny being on the radar of someone as
yeah,
huge as Madonna. But yeah, she knew who Kylie was. I mean, remember she wore that
Kylie
Kylie
t-shirt.
T-shirt.
Yeah. And remember
Um,
we went backstage at that Madonna concert at Earl's Court, and Kylie was there.
yeah.
But I don't know if they would have met at that point or not. Like,
No, I
because
don't
obviously
think Madonna came and met anyone.
Madonna
No.
doesn't go to the bar after the show or anything. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, in that backstage, members of Steps were also there,
yeah,
and Greg Alexander. So, I mean, it wasn't exactly people that Madonna would like go out of her way
no,
to
no,
hang out with. But
no.
I'm sure she's probably met Kylie a few times, and she would have been hyper aware of her.
Well,
You know,
Kylie joined Madonna on stage like during her last world tour, didn't she? In LA, I think.
yeah. Did they sing
They
"I
sang
Will
"Can't"
Survive"?
and "Can't Get You Out of My Head."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so if Madonna's had 65 top 10 hits in the UK,
Mm-hmm.
she is the third highest. If you've got a chart of people who've had the most top 10 hits in their careers, she's number 3.
Mm-hmm.
Can you
No,
imagine who?
I'm not playing. I'm not playing
Come
your game,
on,
Sue. No,
come
I have
on.
no idea.
Who's number
No idea.
2 and who's number 1? Just have a guess. Out of all of the musical acts in the world, how Madonna can be number 3? Who would be in front of her? I'll give you a clue. The next person who's at number 2 is only 3 songs ahead of Madonna, like number 68. So Madonna, possibly in her lifetime, could overtake this person.
How is that a clue?
Well, I'm just saying, like. Anyway,
Michael Jackson.
No, Michael Jackson is number 5 with 44
okay.
top 10 hits. Drake is number 4 with 45.
Really?
Well, do you know what happens now is when people release digital albums, they stream so much on the first day that all of the songs on the album chart. So
Right.
people like The Weeknd and Drake and Ariana are quickly climbing up this tally
Yeah.
of.
And I suppose, well, in that case, Taylor Swift must be.
Well, she's not in the top 5.
Really?
So Michael Jackson, 44, Drake, 45, Madonna, 65. Cliff Richard is number 2
How?
with 68.
How? Like, when did he last have a song in the top 10?
He's been going for about 60 years.
Yeah, but
there would have been a time where he released a song every other week. You know, like there was that time where they would just churn out anything. Number 1, most top 10 hits in the UK is a person who is dead now. They are a man. I'm trying to get you to guess here.
Oh, right. Sorry. George Michael.
And that was with 76 songs in the top 10 of the UK charts.
George Michael's my guess.
George Michael, 76.
Well, I don't know.
Oh, my God.
That's why I told you I'm not playing this stupid game.
Not playing your reindeer games.
Mm-hmm.
It was Elvis Presley.
Oh, okay.
So, like, imagine how much Madonna would love if she could pass Cliff Richard and then number 1 and 2 in the world was Elvis and her.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's pretty a phenomenal feat, isn't it?
So
I mean,
Madonna's at what? 60?
65.
And Elvis.
Cliff Richard is Elvis is 76. So she'd need another
I think she can do it. Well,
11 top 10 hits.
especially if, like you say, like if an album is streamed, every track on that album could
Yeah, but
potentially go into.
yeah, but she doesn't stream. That's the problem. She doesn't stream the numbers that someone like Drake or Ariana does to get them in the top 10.
Really?
Madonna,
Okay.
that's why they had to release that flimsy CD that you bought.
Fucking badly
Because,
packed CD singles
yeah,
thing.
if they had to rely on the streams, even with Kylie fans, they wouldn't even touch the top 40.
Mm-hmm.
Like it would have got to like number maybe 39 or something if they were lucky.
Okay.
But she just does. She's not a streaming artist. So all the old FAGs who love Madonna, they don't stream. Like they might,
How? Really?
yeah,
Okay.
they just don't stream the same numbers as like young people do. Because you think like, I don't know, like, do you remember when we were young? If you liked something, you would have to buy the record.
Mm.
And then you would listen to the record over and over and over and over. And if you do that all your life for like decades, you get into a habit of, you probably don't stream as much as, I don't know, what's an album that you stream the most?
But at the moment, probably
Yeah.
the Madonna album.
And how often
But
do you listen to it?
probably twice a week, maybe.
Yeah.
But sorry, I'm just really confused though, because surely all the Swifties would be streamers. And so,
No, she sells a lot of records. So when she releases an album, that's why she'll release like 13 variants of the same album. So she'll release like 8 different colored covers for the same album. She'll release, and she sells millions of
seashells by the seashore.
Yeah, she sells millions of records. And the way they get around it so it charts, they'll release it in different countries. So everyone around, all the Swifties around the world will buy the English
Yeah.
variant.
But I
Or
still can't
everyone,
believe that there aren't enough of her fan base streaming it enough for those songs to go top 10. That seems really
yeah, no,
unbelievable
like
to me.
those, like,
Where are you getting
I mean,
your figures from? I'm going to question your sources.
well, the song Madonna did with Sabrina Carpenter, I mean, to get to number 39 or something. Like it didn't stream enough. And then they had that big hype. They performed it together at Coachella,
Yeah,
everything.
but
And
I
it
just
just
don't,
didn't.
not to be shady about Sabrina, but I don't think Sabrina has such a huge fan base. I mean, she's only been around a few years, like releasing music. So it's not like she's got a huge fan base, whereas obviously someone like
No,
Kylie.
but she's part of that generation, streaming generation, where like when she releases a new album, a lot of them will be in the top 40 from streaming alone. Whereas Madonna's didn't. Like
Where
only.
are you getting your figures from, Sue? You haven't answered my question.
But what do you mean? What figures?
Like, where are you getting this information from about like Madonna's how many top 10 hits Madonna and Elvis?
Well, I got that from the official charts website.
Okay.
Like I don't know what I think it's called officialcharts.co.uk.
All right.
And so, yeah, Madonna really struggles. Like her streaming numbers are very low, very low. If you look at, you can go on Spotify and see how many streams each song has had. Some of them are extremely low. Like people, the Madonna fans will buy the record, but they won't stream it. There's some disconnect for people of a certain age. Not all people. I mean, I stream a lot. You stream probably more than most people your age. But the majority of older people, like our generation, just don't stream music.
No, that's interesting. Okay.
And a lot of them will use YouTube. Like when I go and see Derek and Sean, they play music all day long, but it's through YouTube. And that doesn't count for chart placement.
Really? That's odd.
Yeah.
Why would it not?
They changed it a year or two ago that, especially in the US, I think they around the time Mayhem came out, and that's why everyone was like upset that Gaga didn't chart very highly with a lot of those singles. And it's because they removed the rule that, like the Abracadabra video had a lot of views. It would have gone top 10 if they'd counted those views, and they didn't.
Wow. Okay.
Can I pivot and complain about something?
It would, yeah.
Okay. Housing in London.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How much do you think one bedroom a 1-bedroom flat, like a small 1-bedroom flat to privately rent in London, in different parts of London, might cost like,
Well, like,
Lauren,
what? Give me a location. Give me a neighborhood.
okay, how about in the borough of Islington?
One
Like
bedroom.
small 1-bedroom flat in
I would say at least 1,800 a month plus bills.
2000, on average, 2,156 in Islington.
Mm-hmm.
What about in Hammersmith and Fulham?
I would say about the same.
Yeah, 1,965. This was surprising to me. Tower Hamlets, which has got a lot of poverty.
Mm-hmm.
Tower Hamlets, 1,972.
Yep.
Obviously, Westminster is 2,500.
Mm-hmm.
Ealing, more over your way, but Ealing is huge, right? It goes way out.
Yeah.
1,595.
Yeah. Because I mean, Ealing goes all the way out to like Greenford.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah,
But
what's
if
that other place where the Army Air Force is?
Hainault or something or
Hainault.
yeah.
Hainault. Haringey in North London,
Mm-hmm.
1,632.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it is so, um, well, obviously ridiculously expensive, but also you can see when you look at the map, like I got this from the, what is it, like, I forget what it's called, like Office for National Statistics,
Oh, yeah.
right? They've got a map where you can click on different parts of the whole country
Mm-hmm.
and you can see. Did you know that on average, Londoners spend 52% of their pre-taxable income on monthly rent?
Mm-hmm.
52%.
Mm-hmm.
I can remember when I was a kid, the advice from adults used to be spend up to a third of your rent. That's a big difference, isn't it? To jump from a third to half.
Yeah.
But also, like, a room in a house share anywhere in London is probably about 1,000.
Yeah.
So that it's this situation where you can't quite afford the 1,700 and up
Mm-hmm.
to live in your own place, which by all accounts are tiny. Like, sometimes I'm in one room with a kitchen and a bathroom attached.
Yeah.
So you have to pay almost as much, like 1,000, to live in a house with like 5 other people.
Yeah.
And this is before you have to pay the bills as well. Like, these prices don't include the bills. I don't know how.
Then you have to pay like the second most expensive transport system in the world.
Well,
You
that's
have to
another
pay
thing.
for.
If you want to go and live out in like Haringey or Hainault or something, you're going to be paying about £50 a week. If you're lucky enough to live near a tube,
Yeah.
you're going to be paying about £50 a week to get into central London if that's where
Yeah.
you work. So at least £200 a month to travel in. So it is so stacked against working class people to be able to live a dignified life in London.
Yeah.
And then if
But
you look at
but not to be all like woe is me and stuff, but it's not, I don't consider myself working class really. I would say like my job, I don't know, it's difficult because my job it's not like exactly a blue collar job. It is quite physical. But just thinking about some friends of mine who I would not say are necessarily working class, like they do sort of traditional, I suppose what you'd call white collar jobs, like office based. But even they can't afford, if they're single particularly, they can't afford to buy something. And if they do, it's riddled with problems, it's like a really bad deal. And so I don't know how I would ever, not live with my mum in London because it's just so expensive. Unless I was in a relationship and we could spread the cost, maybe. But
even then,
even then, it's not easy.
Like where Hill and I live, we rent privately. It's a small 1-bedroom flat.
Mm.
It's not the smallest, but it's quite small. It's an ex-council flat. It's £1,900 a month. That's an extortionate amount of money.
Yeah.
And then there are bills on top of it. So it tops out at about 2,100 a month to live in this place. And, when I've been looking at cheaper places to live, these places that are charging like 1,300, 1,400 for a studio, like
Mm,
not a one-bedroom flat, but a studio,
mm,
they're saying you need to have a combined household income of £45,000 to live in this one room. And it is so unbelievable that that's the state that we're in. Also, do you know I think I told you this, there are agencies in London and around the country, but I've been noticing the ones in London that specialize in renting out caravans in people's back gardens. So they're on the real estate websites. It's not like a hidden thing. They're there as legitimate things you can rent. So the ad will say, don't risk homelessness, sleep somewhere safe for a while, rent this caravan. So, you might go somewhere like Brent or Haringey or Lewisham or somewhere where someone's got a bit more of a space in their back garden or somewhere
mm,
to park a caravan. You
mm,
can rent a caravan, all bills included, for £790 a month to live in somebody's back garden or driveway in a caravan. And so this is the state of play we're in. So you've got couples and families living in caravans in people's driveways in London
mm.
because just that next tier up, a one-bedroom flat is
Yeah,
just too much.
yeah. Well,
So,
that's becoming quite common around where I am. Like that, not caravans, but houses with gardens will build a small self-contained, dwelling
yeah,
at the end of the garden. And like if you come in from Heathrow Airport on the Piccadilly line into town, when you're coming through Hounslow, you can see there's one stretch of the Piccadilly line there where you're going past all these houses, and
yeah,
every single house has a dwelling built at the end of the garden. And not all of them would be rented out. Like some of them might just be built as like, like a little home studio or workspace, home office, whatever, summer house. But a lot of them would be rented out as
yeah.
dwellings. And like that's I guess, but I suppose a step up from a caravan. But it just does go to show like the desperate situation in London, that there's just not enough affordable housing. And I know that both sort of the local and national governments say they're doing things to try and rectify that, but I just don't see enough being done, and I don't see how it can improve unless there's some radical overhaul.
No, and one of the major problems, well, obviously there's a problem with landlordism and hoarding wealth. That's one of the problems. But also the rate at which people are paid is not matched to the rate of
Yeah,
housing
it's
costs going up.
disproportionate.
So I was looking, I mean, if you think the state of housing in London is a joke, the state of job hunting is another level. And people are using AI to filter CVs. So
Hmm.
you just get, like, I've applied for some jobs, and as soon as I hit um, submit. So I've spent an hour doing a job application and writing a letter and everything. As the second, like the millisecond that I hit submit, I get a bounce back email saying, "Oh, we've determined that you're not the right candidate for us." So an AI thing has filtered that,
Well,
but based on keywords or whatever.
you and I have talked about AI and our skepticism around it, but I do think for job applications, you have to use AI now in order to get a look in.
But
And you shouldn't have to, but that's just the reality of it. And I think you need to run your application through, ChatGPT or something, um, and ask it to tweak your application to make sure it gets through. Because I think getting through that first hurdle is more than half the battle.
but
Um,
how about this? Like, this is how lazy people are becoming with um, AI. I was looking at a house listing, a flat listing, and at the bottom of the house listing, they'd left the AI prompt in the description of this flat. So it said, please let me know if you want this to be more compact luxury worded or more rightmove.co.uk typical wording. It had that. And so this landlord or agency had just made the AI prompt and copied the bit at the and just left it on there. But okay, but getting back to jobs for a second, I've been looking for some like part-time work or any sort of work. I saw this job at the Sherlock Holmes Museum, right? And it's like to work at the Sherlock Holmes Museum as a greeter, and so you have to dress up in period clothing. So if I got the job, I would have to dress up as a Victorian police officer, and they give you the uniform. You have to greet people, get photos taken. You have to work the shop, sell products. You have to give tours of the museum. You get 5 days cram training paid for to become a Sherlock Holmes expert. All of this, right? You have to be available 7 days a week for any shifts they want you for.
Mm-hmm.
How much do you think per hour they're willing to pay someone to do this indignity of a fucking job?
Well, knowing London, it's probably about £9.40 an
No,
hour or something.
it's £13 an hour,
Mm.
right? £13 an hour, and you're meant to be an expert in a niche subject, historical subject. You have to dress up. You have to be flexible and available any day of the week. Like that. If you worked out how much that was, you couldn't afford to live. You'd have to live somewhere in like a 1-bedroom flat or a studio
In
in
a
like,
caravan, so
in Hainault or something, paying £200 or £250 a month in travel to get into work. And your hours aren't guaranteed because they can put your hours up and down. Like, and this is
well,
how, I mean,
I
that's a joke sort of example with Sherlock Holmes, but Costa, Tesco, you name it where you work. You're going to be in the same vulnerable situation.
well, I suppose part of the problem is that the the economy in this country is so centered on London. And I suppose Andy Burnham has got plans to try and broaden that and try and invest more in other parts of the UK and other cities. Um, but even if that is the case, I still think London will always be a busy, crowded metropolis because of the
Yeah.
history and because of the arts, the culture, the nightlife.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just don't know what. I don't know. It does feel like we're on the fucking brink.
Um,
And sorry, I just realized today is Madonna's birthday. I just looked at the time and next to it had the date. So anyway, Madonna, for your birthday, I hope you get yourself some better CD packaging.
hey, did you see the partial eclipse last week?
No, I didn't. I didn't have any glasses. And I'm just gonna say it. So it was a bit of an anticlimax. I thought when they said it was going to be about what
97 or something.
97% coverage in London. I was like, oh my God, it's going to be like Twilight. It's going to be
No.
dark. It's going to feel like evening. And it wasn't at all. Like it just,
Well, it was like dusk. It was like
not really.
we went into the tube. We came out just a few minutes before the partial, the extreme of it.
Yeah.
And it was, the sun was obviously still out. I mean, 3% of the sun is very bright,
Mm,
but you could see the sky was darker than the few minutes before we went underground.
mm,
And so we came out, we were around Baker Street, and there were so many people with most of them staring straight at the sun.
really?
Yeah,
Jesus.
most of them were. But the shadows on the wall were the most amazing. Like all of the trees, the light shining through the trees, the
Mm,
London plane trees onto the walls of these houses, they showed the eclipse,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
that looked really amazing.
Yeah.
Um,
It was
but
cool. But just
did
wasn't.
you know that the next partial eclipse in the UK isn't until 2050?
Wow.
So will we be alive then?
No, we might not be alive tomorrow, Sue, but
And did you see the footage from Spain of the totality?
yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it looked so amazing.
Yeah,
Like
a friend of mine
it
went
looked,
to that, so I'm seeing her on the weekend, so I'll have to hear all about it. But yeah,
and there's another one next year somewhere. You can go somewhere in the world to see another total eclipse. But the next total eclipse in the UK, according to the Peterborough Telegraph, giving my sources,
okay.
is in 2090. So
Oh
I don't think
wow, I don't think
you
we'll
and
be
I will be
around then,
around
Sue.
then.
No.
Okay. What freaks me out a bit reading about the eclipse and thinking about the eclipse, did you know that we just happen to be alive at the same time that the moon is the right distance from the Earth to see
Mm.
eclipses.
Mm.
Did you know that the moon is moving away from the Earth?
Yeah, I'd heard that
And,
before. I can't
and
remember.
so if you were alive a couple of 100 million years ago, you wouldn't have seen the eclipses like we see them now. Or if you're alive, like the last time that there's going to be an eclipse visible on Earth is in 650 million years. After that, the moon will be so far away from the Earth that it will start to appear inside the sun. The sun will be around the outside of it. So we just happen to be at the right time in history
Right.
of
Okay.
the universe that we are the right distance, that there are total eclipse of the sun, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um, like it's moving away, like, I think it's like 14th millionths of us. I don't know. Like the day, do you know, like our days get longer every year? Did you
Mm.
know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Because the moon is moving away, the length of our day is controlled by the gravitational pull of the moon. So that the tides being pulled by the moon make the Earth spin at a certain speed. It like works as drag.
Okay.
And so if you were alive, I don't know, hundreds of millions of years ago, well, you would have only had 6 hours of daylight.
Oh,
But
right.
as the
Okay.
moon gets further away, the days on Earth get longer and longer. It takes the Earth longer to turn on its axis,
Okay.
right? And so as the moon gets further away, the days get longer and longer. And so each year, 14th millionth of a second are added to the length of our year. So if you could somehow fast forward hundreds of millions of years into the future, it might be day might last for 40 hours.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's
Okay.
so weird, isn't it?
So the
It's
Earth,
so weird.
but the nights would be longer too.
No, the nights will be shorter.
I'm not sure about this. I don't see how that could work. How could our nights get shorter and our days get longer? Like that can't be right.
Well, yeah.
What it's gonna spin slower during the day and faster at night. That's just not possible. If the
But you
days get
think like,
longer, the nights have to get longer.
okay. Right. Well, maybe this is too much
I think,
to settle in the last few seconds, but you understand the concept of how that there's more daylight hours because the Earth is, you know what I mean? Like the Earth is spinning at a different speed because of gravitational forces.
yeah, for the days to be longer, it'd have to be
Yes.
spinning
Yes.
slower.
Yeah. And what's weird is that scientists have worked out with global warming and the melting of the polar ice caps, more water has been pulled to the center, towards the center of the Earth. And it's minuscule, like it's almost immeasurable, but they've noticed that that's affected the speed of which this is happening as well, which is really interesting. But imagine what would happen to temperature on Earth if, like, suddenly the days, there was like, I don't know, 30 hours of sunlight instead of 24.
Well, then it would cool off during the 30 hours of nighttime, wouldn't it?
Maybe.
But
And are you,
it could get like, you'd have extremes though, wouldn't you? Because with longer, I mean, we're talking as if we know what we're talking about, but I'm sure like the difference in time is probably like in minutes rather than hours. And unless you're going like a million years into the future. But,
like hundreds of millions.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to go hundreds of
yeah,
millions.
well, so it's just, it's kind of,
But isn't it scary to think at some point in existence, the moon is going to be so far away from the Earth that it'll lose its ability to, help it spin on its axis?
well, yeah, what will happen to the tides? Anyway, this is like such a nothing we'll ever have to worry about problem.
No, I
But,
know, but those sorts of concepts really freak me out.
well, I'm more
like,
concerned about, we don't have time to get into it, but I'm more concerned about fucking space junk hitting the moon like it did last week.
and
And
what about wildfires in the UK as well?
yeah, but just sticking to the moon, like I'm concerned about space junk actually affecting the moon during our lifetime. I mean, all right, the rocket casing, whatever it was that crashed into the moon last week, it just made a tiny dent. But if that just happens again and again and again, if there's no regulation, then in our lifetime, the moon's gravitational pull could be affected. And that would, of course, have massive influence on our tides, on the economy, because, tides affect shipping and blah, blah, blah. So, like, that's more concerning to me than the very, very gradual
Don't look up.
distancing. Don't look up.
Don't look up, Sue. Did you get that alarm on your phone about
Yeah, I did.
the fire danger? Everyone in the UK got a government alert on their phone saying don't use like barbecues or fires. And how do you feel about getting that alert? Do you think it was justified getting it?
Yeah, I mean, I have no issue with those sort of like emergency alert things. I think that was more a test. I mean, that's not what they've said officially. I think it was just kind of used as a test to make sure the system's working and, get people used to the idea. But yeah, I think it's fine to push public safety announcements like that out. We need to wrap up. So I know you already said about subscribing, but click on the links in the show notes if you want to find out what Sean and I are up to. And we will be back in your feeds every Tuesday. And I'm going to do some selective pruning on this plant here, and hopefully she'll be looking in her prime next week.
Why are plants sheaths?
I don't know. They're not all sheaths, but I think it's just sort of like the long hair-like structure. I know it's very stupid, very gendered, very basic.
Okay. Well, you go back to your basic selective pruning.
Okay.
I'm going to go back complaining to myself about the state of the job and housing market in London. And we'll see everybody in another week. We hope you have a great week, and we'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.